Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Well, I had the shortest commute I've had in a long time today. It just came down the road, but this is my adopted hometown. And I love Albany. I love this city. I love the history. I love the people. And actually, I love the government, too, despite what people think sometimes. But it's an extraordinary place, and a place where people have visions that I want to talk about here today, because I believe that this is a model for the rest of the state as we work to achieve our goals to create more homes for New Yorkers and people who want to become New Yorkers. I want to first recognize our leaders in our state legislature. They are at every single event I'm at. They are champions of this region, and I consider them strong allies here. Pat Fahey, our Assembly member, and John McDonald. Let's give them both a round of applause. Mayor Kathy Sheehan, you have truly left a mark on the city during your tenure as mayor, and I'm glad it continues to get longer because we need people like you. We need true public servants who believe in their communities with such heart and such passion, and I thank you for your leadership of the city of Albany. Mayor Kathy Sheehan, let's give her another round of applause. I also want to recognize we have some neighboring mayors. I do get out to all your communities as well, so don't worry about that. Kamal Johnson, the mayor of the city of Hudson, is here. Kamal Johnson. Ron Kim, the mayor of Saratoga Springs. Ron, great to see you again. Bill Keeler, the mayor of Cohoes, was here as well. The mayor of Bill, thank you. We also have Darius Shawnfar, the treasurer of the city of Albany, has joined us, a job you know something about, right, Mayor? And also, you mentioned at the outset Chiquita Diarbo, right? Diarbo, did I get it right? Okay. The executive director of the Albany Housing Authority. Ruth Ann Visnaskis, I'm not sure she's here yet, but she is coming off a fresh run of having fun on the Hill as we talk about her work to support our agency. I think she just had her public hearing, so we'll talk about what Ruth Ann Visnaskis is doing. She'll be joining us in a few minutes. But also, I met the most interesting person, Megan Roosh. Are you in the audience, Megan Roosh? Where are you? She is one of our residents here. And she is the most enthusiastic person you'll ever want to meet. If you're ever having a down day, please reach out to Megan, because you will just feel extraordinary. In fact, she is in one of the former classrooms in this building, and we'll talk about this building in a couple moments. They still have the original chalkboard, and she sends herself messages. And I want to share one with you because it'll define who she is as well. Nothing great has ever been achieved without enthusiasm. And that's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. That is written on your chalkboard. I just noticed that a few minutes ago. So let's give a round of applause to our new friend, Megan. And she has an adorable cat named Sheldon. So I had a chance to meet Sheldon. We'll talk more about them in a second. But the reason we're in this space, and those of you who may have gone to St. Joseph's Academy, it closed in 1978, know that there's a great story here. Our videographer's father went to school here and talked about his experiences here. I walk into a former Catholic school and all of a sudden my knuckles start hurting because of the muscle memory of getting whacked with rulers by nuns. So this was part of Albany's story, educated a lot of people. But then when it became abandoned, it sat here mocking this city for 20 years, just saying we're hopeless. There's nothing that's going to happen here. And it was a blight on this community, a blight on this neighborhood. But the city of Albany and the Housing Authority had a different vision. And they were so ahead of their time. This went from being a complete eyesore to an asset. And that's what I want to keep talking about. And it had such a positive impact on the community, and it became a home for artists. And the energy that exists here, we have people that are incredible watercolor artists like Megan and others who are in the performing arts, sharing studio space. Their homes are extraordinary. Literally her studio, where she does her work and her framing, is right next to her little kitchen. But it's amazing how we brought together people who otherwise would not be congregating in a building, and you get that creative energy that just abounds here. So showcasing arts and culture and the talent. This space is now 22 low-cost workspaces, as well as a 13,000 square foot arts program space available, the barn. And people like Megan, as I mentioned, she's able to live here for 10 years and has a thriving business. You know, she's an artist who's in high demand. She'll give you her card. I have your card. And she also makes great lemon squares, which she shared with us. So she turned her home into a beautiful expression of herself. It's really powerful. And this space is a testament to the vision behind doing just that. That's what I want to see replicated all over the state of New York. Local communities who say, we don't have to put up with these eyesores any longer. Why don't we reimagine them into beautiful homes and spaces where people can congregate? It doesn't have to all be artists, but also, can we focus on people and what they want to do and where they want to live, and beautiful fixing up the park across the street and making this more walkable, creating great attractions, just giving people a chance to call something their home. Because right now in the state of New York, we're facing literally a generational crisis. When I was growing up in Buffalo, you never worried about finding a home. You were worried about finding a job. That's why there were so many homes available. Houses were cheap, among the cheapest in the nation, because there was not demand. Plenty of supply, no demand, the prices go down. Fast forward to today, from that time of double-digit unemployment to where we are now. Statewide, 3%, 3.8% unemployment. Now there's jobs. People want to be here. But the housing supply has not kept up with that, and as a result, what happens is limited supply, high demand, the prices go up. And that's the affordability crisis when people all across the state talk about what keeps them up at night. It is the affordability of living here, how hard it is to live here sometimes. And your biggest cost is the cost of your mortgage payment or your rent. And those are driven up higher than they should be because this state has not built the communities from Long Island up to the North Country, over to Buffalo, down to Jamestown. We have not kept pace with the demand for housing. So we can build more. We can do more. Other states have. You look at the statistics and see the states that we're losing people to. A lot of people living in New Jersey, for example, because they have grown exponentially. Northern Virginia, all of my family from Buffalo migrated to Northern Virginia over the last few decades. They continue to build 20, 30% more housing. So we have sometimes in our regions restrictive land use policies, some of the most restrictive in the nation. You see the impact. You see the impact of this. And New Yorkers are calling out for help. They really are. And we have to listen to them. We have to address their needs. They want strong public safety. They want security. We're focused on public safety, always will be. But also, that's why in my budget, as well as my State of the State address just back in January, I proposed what we call the New York Housing Compact. And my plan is to have groundbreakings and the start of over 800,000 new housing units over the next decade. Thank you. It's ambitious. It can be challenging. But as long as I'm governor of the state of New York, I will never be afraid of the challenges. If it was easy, it would have been done before me. Now is the time for real leadership and to pull together a state and to overcome people's fears of change and hesitation about new policies, because ultimately, we're doing this for the people of New York. Who are these people? Your own kids who grew up in the neighborhood, educated here, go off to school, they come back, or maybe educated locally. They want to raise their family where they were growing up because they want to be around babysitters. They want to be around their parents. I know this. That's why I moved back to Buffalo from Washington. But I wanted my kids to grow up around grandparents and aunts and uncles and have that sense of community that I think is so important to a young person's identity. So that's the environment my kids grew up in. But if we can't have housing that young families can afford, Or on the other end of life spectrum, senior citizens who want to downsize from the house that they raised their kids in. If they can't find an apartment or a townhouse to live in, then they can't stay here. They'll go to other states where they've been building more. I'm also concerned about all the employers becoming here. It is so exciting in the capital region that we are becoming the epicenter of, for example, the semiconductor manufacturing industry, and we're just getting started. This is so exciting. From Global Foundries to Micron and so many others, the whole ecosystem is there. But when I was able to land with Senator Schumer, Micron, to keep them from going to Texas where they thought they were going, I persuaded them that upstate New York is the place where we have more affordability. We have the hardest working individuals, talented people, great quality of life, charming downtowns, beautiful scenery. And we sold them on it. But now, they estimate there'll be 50,000 jobs coming to upstate New York. I need to put houses out there so these people can live in them. So this is a good problem to have. We can manage this, and that's just one company. The supply chain companies around this are phenomenal. So I have set a target for our communities to meet that demand, to be able to take care of employers who want to hire people. They have to be living somewhere, take care of our young families, take care of people just out of school, take care of our seniors, and I know we can do this. So we decided to set targets, because you can wait forever and hope that everything changes, or you can be realistic and say, it hasn't changed till now, something has to be different. What is different is, in my proposal for the New York Housing Compact, we're proposing that every community meet a target. Whether you're downstate or upstate, downstate 3%, upstate 1% growth in your housing over the next 3 years. Now for 80% of communities, that's 50 units or less. That can be 2 of these buildings. You've met your demand. Or you can put in townhouses or patio homes or whatever you want. We're not saying the type of housing we're looking for, because you know what the demand is. So whether you want to have housing that's affordable for families, or market rate, or high-end, or condos, or apartments, it doesn't matter. We're not dictating this. We're simply saying, just start building. Give people options, because otherwise our full potential will never be realized. And that, to me, would be a shame. We're better than that. People deserve the dignity of a good home. And I want to make sure that they know that we're not afraid of this. And I need all of you to be the advocates, to explain what we're looking for, to lean into this, whether it's repurposing buildings like the barn, the old school. We'll have incentives on the books. Incentives for, if you want to do multifamily housing, we'll have incentives. We also know that Mayor Sheehan was never afraid of this. She leaned hard into these ideas, and Albany hit its goal of 487 goals, and she's still building. She is still going at it. And she knows that that brings a life and an energy to downtowns where the alternative is to be abandoned. And you've truly transformed this city with your vision. Over on Clinton Avenue, run-down buildings into 210 apartments. It's hard to do, but the reward is extraordinary. And we're going to do the same with the Central Warehouse. When you go by this blight, and I come off that exit all the time, it's like, oh my gosh, that is ugly. Sorry. But what great possibilities that building brings to this community. For multi-use purposes, it's going to be transformative, what we can do to that part of town. So I know there's costs involved. Yes, I know this because I spent 14 years in local government. I've worked with my planning board, my zoning board, my traffic safety board, town board. I knew all the ways that communities could say yes, and I knew all the ways they could say no. And we got people to yes. We got people to yes. And sometimes some of the costs associated with needing new sewers. You go, well, we can't do it. We need new sewers. We can't afford it. Well, guess what? Your state government can help make that happen. In this year's budget, to support our housing compact, we're putting over $250 million initially on the table for those communities that want to step up right now and say, we have a plan, we have developers, we have a vision, we just want to know if we can get some help with the infrastructure. And also, smaller communities don't always have the planning departments that are required. It's a challenge. So we're putting $20 million into a fund to help with your planning. My Office of Housing and Community Renewal is going to be a partner, and I'm going to bring in the people, the resources we need to make this be successful. So municipalities can undertake rezonings to hit their growth targets if they need to. We'll help cut the red tape any way we can. And if there's projects that make sense for a community and a developer has a plan, wants to go forward, but there's opposition, we'll give that developer what we call the builder's remedy, a chance to make their case to a different entity in the state government. That's what's new. But we also talk about fast-tracking projects as well, because we cannot wait. Projects can be delayed 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I've seen it happen. That's not going to get us to our goal of building 800 housing units over the next decade. So I believe housing is a basic human right. I saw how housing is also a symbol of people when they progress through life, if they're successful. My parents used to live in a trailer park. I still visit that trailer park. People still live there. It is run down. It is a tough neighborhood. My dad only got out because he could get a college degree while working at the steel plant. But then, that's when my brother was born. 9 months later, their daughter comes along and they need a little tiny flat above a building near the steel plant. That was the next step. And then when there were 4 kids, they got a little Cape Cod house. And when there were 6 kids, I shared an attic with 2 brothers. Didn't have heat in the winter. It was pretty darn hot in the summer, but we all fit there. And that was to us a dream, to have a house like that. And then my parents did even better in life. Everybody deserves that. No matter where you start, you have to have the opportunity to see the possibility that you can have upward mobility as you're able to seek other means of income. And we're bringing those good paying jobs here right now. That's the point I'm making. People are going to be able to afford nice houses if we build them. So everybody deserves this. I know you believe this, but I need to help go out there and persuade a lot of other people. We have a few weeks. The budget is going to be negotiated very shortly. I put out my vision. I believe it is a strong vision that'll elevate New York State in a way like we've never could have before. And it does take courage, but also takes an army of support behind me. And I'm looking at a room full of people. I'm counting on being soldiers to go forth. And at the end of the day, when we've done this, we can look back that people can actually afford a house because there's more houses to choose from. We'll say, we did what we're supposed to do in government and communities. Made a difference. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Albany Mayor Kathy Sheehan.
I think the mayor's introduced me, but I can introduce the mayor too. So let me have a chance to introduce someone. You are blessed, Albany, to have someone of Kathy Sheehan's caliber. Her passion for this community is exceptional, and I want to thank her for everything she has done, not just in her willingness to build beautiful homes for people like this space here that we're in. I know this is before your time, but you can take credit for it. She's keeping it going. She was here for the ribbon cutting. She was the treasure, but ladies and gentlemen, our great mayor, Kathy Sheehan.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you for your leadership. Last year, you had a vision for what we needed to do for housing. You were ahead of all of us because you saw this coming. And then you talked to us, particularly mayors and local government officials, about what works in our communities and what might not work in our communities. And you took that and you have created this initiative that I think will help to place New York State on a trajectory to grow for decades in the future, and that will be because of your leadership. So thank you so much, Governor Hochul, for joining us here. I know we're also joined by some members of our Common Council, Council members Robinson and Joyce Love, as well as Kelly Kimbrough, all of whom represent neighborhoods that are full of buildings like this, that are underutilized and that can be transformed into something that not only creates homes for people, but creates a new opportunity for the community to interact with and see themselves and see their neighborhoods as something to be proud of. And that's what this project was always about. And it's why the city came alongside the Housing Authority and HCR and everybody who had to come and make this happen. And we reimagined the park across the street. And we are now working with the Tenbrook Mansion, which is part of this neighborhood, to make their grounds more open and available to people who live in this neighborhood and in this community. And it's one of the reasons that I chose to move a block away, because this is a neighborhood that is truly remarkable and has incredible history and incredible diversity and is just a rich, wonderful place to live. And so when we put our heads together and are able to reimagine these spaces, we can be really successful. And that is why we rezoned our entire city. We are ahead of the game. We rezoned Albany based on our 2030 comprehensive plan and created the opportunity to build denser housing near our largest employers. We have been successful over the last 10 years in creating or renovating 1,500 units of subsidized housing, 1,500 units, and we have another 1,000 plus in the pipeline. And alongside that, we've created more than 1,000 units of market rate housing because, again, as wonderful as this place is, right, it doesn't add to our tax base. So we have to ensure that we are doing market rate housing right alongside the subsidized housing so that we can grow our tax base so that we can provide the essential city services and the public safety that everyone in every neighborhood deserves. It is about working together and recognizing that the incentives that the governor and the state are looking at putting in place, as well as the requirements, are also a way of, I think, leveling the playing field. Because let's face it, lots of housing like this gets built in the city of Albany. It gets built in red line districts in Schenectady and in Troy, but not so much in our surrounding towns and villages, where there are people who need every bit as much of this affordable housing as people do here in the city of Albany. And so I hope that this spurs a broader conversation about how we address issues of affordability in the city of Albany, but realizing and recognizing that this is a regional problem. This has been caused not because we didn't do what we said we were going to do, which is to create housing and mixed income neighborhoods. We've done that, and I'm really proud of how we've accomplished that. And we've had those debates, right? There are concerns that neighbors have. Do something that's a little bit different, but we've been able to work through that and come together as a community. And now this is an opportunity for us to come together as a state, because cities like Albany and Hudson and Schenectady and Troy, we can't do it alone. We need for everyone to recognize that the future is bright. This is something for us to be excited about. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about access at every level with respect to job readiness. We're talking about opportunities for our children. I hear all the time, our kids can't stay here. This is an opportunity for our kids to be able to stay here. But if we don't build the housing, where are they going to live? So I am so grateful for the leadership of this governor, who recognizes that working with our municipalities, but also making sure that we are addressing the elephant in the room, right? In many ways, restrictive zoning rules and regulations that were intended to keep people out. We are neighbors. The person who's working at Colony Center at one of the retail shops needs an affordable place to live. The people working in all of the different employment opportunities that we have across the region need safe, decent places to live. And so I hear a governor who is saying, this is a problem that we are New Yorkers and we can solve. And we need to, I hope, we'll do tours in the city of Albany. Anyone who's resistive to mixed income housing, to denser housing, come to Albany. See what it has done, see places that have been transformed, see what you can do when you can provide a safe place for somebody to live close to where they work. And it will make your community a better, more vibrant, and credible place. So thank you very much, Governor, for your leadership. And I also am really thrilled to bring up a partner here in the city of Albany, because we do have to ensure that we have not just affordable housing, but high quality, safe, affordable housing. And our housing authority takes that mission very seriously. And they invest and they reinvest, and they are creating homes for individuals and for families and doing more for our community than I think they often get credit for. And I want to thank Chiquita for her leadership and invite Chiquita Diarbo to come up and say a few words.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mayor Sheehan. Thank you so much. Governor Hochul, you are a true visionary. Let me first commend your plan and commitment to affordable housing in New York State. Housing is the foundation for improved quality of life. You were right when you said New York is facing a housing crisis. Bold action and an all-hands-on-deck approach is very much required. It takes everyone in the community, including private and public partners, to meet housing needs in an affordable and equitable way. The Albany Housing Authority works very hard with partners across government agencies and private sectors to improve the living experience for our residents. We need to look no further than where we are today, the Academy Lofts. Academy Lofts was a collaborative effort between the Housing Authority, the City of Albany, and a substantial support from the Governor's Office. What we're seeing is an adaptive transformation and reuse of the vacant St. Joseph's Academy that was transformed into 22 affordable live-work loft apartments for artists. The project includes 15,000 square feet of community arts center with resources such as rehearsal suites, performance space, and digital media centers. This is an example of the power of public collaboration and investment in affordable housing. Another example is the Albany's historic South End neighborhood. The Albany Housing Authority recently started construction on the Steamboat Square revitalization project. Upon completion in June 2024, the Steamboat Square Phase 1 will become a fully electrified building using geothermal, well-filled, and ground source heat pumps. Phase 1 preserves 51 affordable apartments while creating 37 new units, 14 of which are supportive housing for those who are at risk of homelessness. Over the next several years, the Steamboat Square project will preserve 350 affordable apartments and create 74 units of supportive housing for the homeless or those at risk of homelessness. With support from our federal, state, and local leaders, and working with private banking partners, the Albany Housing Authority is committed to the Governor's goal to preserve affordable housing, creation of supportive housing, and decarbonization through electrification and energy efficiency. I will say this again, this must be a united effort. It's very important. Both public and private partners must come together in order to lift up the affordable housing market. Everyone here today recognizes the impact these investments have in empowering communities and promoting a path to prosperity for all. I want to thank Assembly Member Pat Fahey and John McDonald, Commissioner, and I hope I don't butcher the last name, Ruth Ann Vensnazwis. Close? I apologize. That's how people feel with my last name, and first. And our very own mayor, Kathy Sheehan. Again, thank you, Governor Hochul, for your bold vision and making affordable housing a priority in New York. Next, I would like to introduce one of the biggest supporters of the Housing Authority's housing initiatives for many, many years, Commissioner Ruth Van.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Ruth Ann Wisniewskis. It's hard, I know. My father-in-law said I should have changed my name when I got married, but I didn't. I stuck with my Lithuanian roots, so I own my wonderful last name. I'm really delighted to be with you all today. I was a little late because I was testifying in front of the state legislature this morning and fielding a lot of questions about the Housing Compact, and they are challenging questions because it's a complicated proposal that the governor has put forth, and so we are happy to take all the questions, but I think we also realize that so many people come to me day in and day out with housing issues in their communities, in their villages, in their towns, in their cities, and the status quo is really not an option. And so we are so lucky to have a governor who sees that, understands it to her core, the need for housing, the need for a range of housing options, and the need for that everywhere in the state, to be able to propose something as holistic and as systemic as the Housing Compact, because really doing something other than this wouldn't make any sense. So I was happy to be the legislature answering all their questions as we work with them and to get this approved, but I really want to thank the governor for her leadership. As she said, if it was easy, it would have been done. So here we are out on tour with the Housing Compact. So thank you, Governor, for that. I would thank Mayor Sheehan and Chiquita from the Housing Authority. As you said, if we had a sort of combo team like this everywhere we went, we wouldn't need the Housing Compact. But in fact, we don't have you everywhere we go. And we really need more housing everywhere. And we need it in places that people have historically not been able to move to or live in across the state. And so we're really grateful for your leadership too here in Albany. We're just even driving around on our way here today. It's like fun to sort of point out all the HDR investments as we drive around the city, and we're so happy to be a part of the revitalization and all the wonderful work that's been done here. So I am the closer. I really am just here to thank you all for being here and listening to this message. I see also a few familiar faces. Thank you to our elected partners in this conversation. We really need everyone to be amplifying. Everyone has identified the problem. Everybody understands the problem. Everybody recognizes the problem. And we have a really wonderful solution. So we need everyone to be working with us and talking about how we have to make a change here. And the Governor's Housing Compact is really the right change for the right time. So I thank you all so much for being here today.